expert contributor to FamilyAffaires.com, Dr. Dan Gottlieb. Hi.
Hi there.
Today, you just brought up something that I'm really not all that familiar with, but I want to talk about it because the little bit that you did explain to me, I think it's really important, and it's good information. So, you were talking about the topic of restorative justice. So, I think let's start by explaining what it is, and then how that can help our viewers, our community, when they're going through certain periods.
Last month, I was walking into Camden Courthouse. I was called for jury duty. Don't worry, I'm okay. I was called for jury duty, and I looked across the top of the courthouse. It said Hall of Justice, and I thought, is what happens in that building just, really? It's really a place of punishment. And we need that sometimes. But what is justice? There's all sorts of kinds of justice. There's a monetary justice and fairness. There's retributive justice, retribution. But this is different, this kind of justice. It's about relationships. It's about trying to restore what has been lost. For example, if I hurt you, emotionally and physically, you could, quote, learn your lesson and cut me out and we'd never be friends. And in a way, you'd be safe and that would be just. But neither one of us would feel good about it and I wouldn't have learned. On the other hand, if we came together and I listened to you and you told me what I did and how that hurt and where it hurt and what it meant, and I listened carefully and I looked in your eyes and I said, I'm sorry. I will try my best to never do anything like that again. Something got restored for both of us.
Right. And of course, me being a mediator, a family mediator, you know what's going through my mind while you're telling that story is, yes, but there needs to be two willing parties in order to do that. Right. You have to be open to go through that process, and I have to be open to receive it.
Right.
Yeah.
Unless you do need buy-in, but I want to talk about schools and go beyond the issue of justice. I want to get to a restorative environment.
A culture.
A culture. So I spoke with a woman who is vice principal of a middle school in West Philadelphia.
Okay.
Kids are, I think, 48% black, some 40% Hispanic, some Asian, and some white, and 100% living in poverty. So there's got to be an environment there where the kids feel safe and heard. So first you've got to get buy-in from the teachers who are used to punishment. So if a kid stands up in the classroom and says, "You're an asshole," which is not unusual,
Mm-hmm.
especially these days, the teacher's very swift to suspend that child. What does that do? What does the child learn
They don't learn
from
anything.
that? And what does it do to the environment there? Does anybody in that classroom feel safe, including the teacher?
It instills fear.
Okay. What we have is circles in that environment, and they've gotten really good results. They're doing it hundreds of schools around the country, and now around the world. So it's called restorative practices. So they meet in circles, and they review the issues that are going on in the class.
And the circles include the students, the teacher.
And the teacher.
Okay, so everybody who's involved.
Yeah, so then the one who stood up and screamed asked, he's got to listen to what the other kids felt and thought about that. He's got to listen to how the teacher experienced that, not in a punishing way,
Right.
but in a kind way. And then he has to talk about his life and what was going on in his mind and how his day had been going before.
And really why he reacted like that. Because there's a reason. To me, this is actually, it's similar to couples therapy. When couples within their marriage are having problems and he did, she did, what was said, what was whatever, nobody's really listening to each other.
Right.
Okay.
So, when we try to talk over each other, it doesn't work. Or when we try to prove our point, it doesn't work. Or when we try to punish someone, it doesn't work. And it's not about overlooking the behavior or ignoring the behavior. You've got to be accountable to a certain extent. But if you're going to grow, I have to know how I've harmed you because I might not be aware
Right.
of that. I have to understand that. And if you can understand, then after I apologize, what was going on with me that day, we've both grown.
What a wonderful theory.
Works. It works.
Restorative justice.
The research is very, very impressive. Look, Nelson Mandela did
Yeah.
this.
Yes.
In the Truth and Reconciliation
That's
hearings.
true.
That's been done all over the world.
Yep.
It's wonderful.
Excellent.
It's very humane, and it's been around formally since the mid-90s, and informally, there's evidence of it for thousands and thousands and thousands of years.
I would imagine so many of the past tribes, that's how they would deal with their differences.
Right. They sit
Right.
literally in circles.
Yep, and they come together. Yep.
Yeah.
Great information, thank you.
Pleasure.